all-new Dr. Phil. Molested by her father.
His job was to protect you, not prey upon you. Why are you telling her this was her fault?
I want her to admit there was two of us.
There were two of you. She was the victim. You were the perpetrator.
I feel like there are more victims out there.
Did he abuse his other daughter as well?
He would expose himself to me, have me touch him.
You were in the shower together.
Because you jumped in the shower. That was your idea, not mine.
He would grope me when I'd walk by.
None of that happened. You can't prove it.
I think I can prove it.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Yesterday, I sat down with Kim and her father, Bob. Now, Kim said Bob robbed her of her childhood by molesting her from the ages of 7 to 14. Now, Bob admitted to victimizing Kim to a degree, but said he wanted Kim to admit she enjoyed, initiated, and encouraged what he called their sexual relationship. Take a look.
My father's a monster. He's a pedophile and he's a danger to children. My father started molesting me when I was 7 years old. He started grooming me. The sexual abuse usually happened in the basement. It became like a chore. We watched a porn video together, and then he asked me to do a strip dance for him. My father had me start to engage in sexual behavior with him.
It began by him saying, "Come down to the basement."
We went down to put wood in the stove, and he started a conversation. Do you have any questions about puberty? You're going to be a woman soon. He started teaching me how to perform sexual acts.
This involved getting undressed, getting naked, touching, striptease type dancing. You watched porno with him.
He says, you can't tell people because if you tell anyone, I'll go to jail. The abuse I endured by my father was a secret, and I felt I had no choice but to keep quiet about it. He would have a signal. He'd say I have to go put wood in the stove, which was a tip-off to me to go down to the basement with him. My father showed me scary movies. Once I was in bed with him, he'd like me to perform sexual activities with him. It was an awful nightmare. There was no one around to help me. I was trapped there.
He says you seduced him.
That's ridiculous. It seems like no matter what I did, I wasn't doing the right thing.
Kim thinks that she didn't have a part in what happened between us at all. Our sexual relationship was consensual. Most of the ideas came from Kim. She was the one that did the stripteases. She was the one that was always taking her clothes off in front of me. I did not ask her to do those things. So how is that 100% my fault?
For the first time in 3 years, Kim will face her father. You said, how is this 100% my fault when half of what we did was her idea?
She had a great imagination. Half the stuff we did was her idea.
Are you denying now that you put your hands on your daughter in a sexual way?
No.
So you do admit that?
Oh, yeah.
On multiple occasions?
Mm-hmm.
And that you had her put her hands on you in a sexual way?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
if you're the adult responsible for it, then how are you saying Kim started everything?
it wasn't against her will. She had a choice.
Do you know that a child does not have the capacity to give consent?
I know that.
So how can you say it's consensual?
Because it wasn't forced on her.
Little girls don't think about stripteasing.
I didn't teach you striptease. You showed me. You were doing it in front of me.
You showed me porn videos.
One.
What are you doing showing your daughter a porn video?
It wasn't a big deal.
Anytime a father is showing their minor daughter a pornographic video, that's a big deal. Why are you still victimizing this woman by telling her this was her fault. This was her responsibility. This was her ownership, that she was responsible. She initiated it. She came up with the games. She enjoyed it. She wanted this. Why are you still putting a guilt trip on her?
Because the time before last on the phone, she played no part in it. She like she wasn't there, and I'm not playing the guilt trip. I just want her to admit to herself that there was two of us.
There were two of you, a perpetrator and a victim.
That's right.
That's the two of you.
Yes.
There were two of you. She was the victim. You were the perpetrator. Bob, come on. A 7-year-old child does not have the mental and emotional capacity to navigate the terrain of sexual interactions.
She was 12.
12, 13, 14, 15, they do not have the mental capacity, the emotional capacity, the maturity to navigate that terrain. When you have a child that you're putting your hands on in a sexual way for sexual gratification, that is a crime. That is not something, you say there were two of us there. She was a willing participant. No, she was a manipulated victim, not a willing participant. You are attributing to her a capacity that she does not have as a child. And if you don't get that, you'll never get past this. You want her to admit that so she can forgive herself and you, correct?
Just to herself, that's all.
If you admit that to yourself, you are lying to yourself. You are 100% victim. If you sit there and say, you know, there were days that I actually physically was gratified by some of this, and I feel guilty about that, you're wrong to feel guilty about that, because as a child, you don't know any better at the time. So you don't feel guilty about that. If you came up with games, to please him, to make him happy, to entertain with, and you feel guilty about that, you're 100% wrong. You have absolutely zero accountability for what happened to you in this interaction. He has 100% accountability for victimizing you as his daughter. His job as a father was to protect you, not prey upon you. If you came to his room at night stark naked and he's laying there and you stood up on his bed and said, please touch me, it's his job to get up, wrap you up in a sheet, take you back to your room, put you in bed and say, that is not appropriate, don't you ever do that again. That is his job. It is his job to never lay a hand on you, a finger on you for sexual gratification in any way whatsoever. Not to ever show you an image, not to show you a video, not to suggest a game, not to let you put your hands on him, his hands on you. Ever, never, ever. His job is to protect you, not be someone you should be protected from. Now tell me I'm wrong.
That'd be a fool to tell you you were wrong.
Then why are you telling her that?
Can't do it over again.
No, but you can own it now.
I did.
No, you don't. You're saying there were two of us there. She needs to own her part of it. She had no part of it. She was a victim. That's like saying there were two of us involved. I went in the bank and shot the teller. There were two of us involved. Yes. The gunman and the one that got shot. Yeah, there were two of you involved. That's not two people being involved. This wasn't sex. This was rape. There's a victim here. She's not involved. That's why it's called a crime.
Yes, I know that.
Well, there's more to this story. Kim was not the only person to come forward and accuse Bob of molesting her. Bob's stepdaughter Jessica claims her abuse started at 6 years old with a shower, something Bob adamantly denies. Well, she's here, and we'll add her to the conversation after the break.
Countless nights, Bob would touch himself, and then it progressed to him making me touch him.
I have never had a sexual relationship with Jessica. Jessica is mentally ill and a paranoid schizophrenic.
And later,
You know that I'm not lying. He would have me touch him.
None of that happened. You can't prove it.
I think I can prove it.
This ain't the way it all went down.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My sister has had 3 exorcisms.
A 10-year-old mystery.
She had 2 demons who would attack her.
you say Emily would stab you, and then Charlie cuts out your tongue.
Is it possession?
If someone puts holy water on me, my skin is on fire.
Or something else beyond her control?
What if that's not it?
That's tomorrow.
Kim says growing up, going into the basement became an unthinkable chore. Why? Because she says her father used it as a secret place to sexually abuse her almost daily. But was she the only victim Bob was forcing himself on? Well, Kim's stepsister Jessica claims her nightmare with Bob began at 6 years old.
Like my sister Kim, I was sexually abused by my stepfather, Bob. My mom didn't want to be bothered with bathing me, so Bob offered to help by taking me in the shower with him. He'd be under the water touching himself, and I'd be at the other end of the shower shivering. I didn't know what to do, but I didn't want to make anybody mad. Countless nights when I'd climb into my parents' bed to say goodnight to my mom, Bob had a sexual routine that he would do. Bob would touch himself, and then it progressed to him making me touch him. He'd say, "You know you want it," and other lewd things. This happened every single night. My mom saw it all, and she did nothing to stop it. I didn't understand why my mom wasn't protecting me. For a while, the abuse stopped, but when I turned 12 years old and developed breasts, he started groping them all over the house, anytime I walked past him. When I was 14, I finally came forward about the abuse. My mom was livid. My mom flat out told me I was just a troublemaker, a liar, and that I was just looking to get revenge. My mom tried to make me out to be crazy, put an extreme amount of pressure on me to change my story, telling me that if I didn't recant, they were going to put Kim in foster care. She said the only way to stop all of this is if I lied. I blamed it all on my biological father, who had passed away. To this day, Bob still denies that he sexually abused me. I just want Bob to finally man up and tell the truth.
Well, Bob says Jessica is flat out lying. He says her concocted story of abuse is sadly a symptom of severe mental illness. Here's what he told us.
For the record, I have never had a sexual relationship with Jessica. Jessica is mentally ill, and she made all of this up. Jessica has accused me of sexually touching her and groping her. That is 100% actually untrue. When Jessica lied about me molesting her, CPS got involved, the police got involved. Before you know it, everybody knew about it, and it just made me feel helpless. I got convicted in the public. Nobody wanted to hear my side of the story. I felt like a piece of All this happened because I kicked Jessica out of the house because she was being super mean to her sister. As a child, Jessica heard voices, and she was diagnosed as being a paranoid schizophrenic. Jessica changed her story 2 or 3 times in the court, and I was never convicted of it. I put all of Jessica's lies about me in the past. Jessica is still hanging on to it. She clearly needs help.
You know that I'm not lying, for one. And I've never been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia.
Yes, you have.
Where are the documents?
The doctor has them. We don't have them.
So, through this life of paranoid schizophrenia, were you able to make it through grade school?
Yes.
Middle school?
Yes.
High school?
Yes.
College?
Yes.
Graduate school?
Yes.
What do you do now?
Social work and mental health counseling.
Well, you ought to have some insight to that.
Yeah. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, but that's about it.
Yeah.
All I know is what the doctor told your mother, and that's what she told me.
Okay.
But you said in your piece she's mentally ill and making everything up. You stated that as a fact, not just I've been told that. You said
Yeah.
that. You also said something else. You said she's coming across as Little Miss Innocent.
That's what she used to do.
But if nothing went on between the two of you, what's she playing Little Miss Innocent about?
Because she believes that it actually went down. That's I swear on a sack of Bibles. I'd do anything. I didn't. I swear I didn't. If I did, I'd say so.
Why do I know what your private parts look like if you never touched me?
Because I didn't have you get in the shower. You jumped in the shower. That was your idea, not mine.
Now you were in the shower together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was her idea. She jumped in there.
I didn't know she was going to jump in there. I was in the shower.
But it was her idea, not yours. You didn't.
It wasn't my idea, no.
Kind of like it was her idea to come up with some of these games.
If you don't know something's coming, how can you stop it?
You could turn the shower off, cover yourself up, pick her up, take her, put her in her bedroom. It's called boundaries.
Her mother was lying right there.
Mm-hmm.
Mom was laying right there when you made me touch you. You're
I
right.
didn't make you do anything.
Can I point out that my sister's 7 years older, and what he did to her happened first? So why would she say that he's doing things if he didn't, and then have them magically happen to me too? That, I don't understand that.
There was no magic involved.
So is it odd coincidence that she reports the things happening to her that you later admit doing with Kim?
I find it very odd because I'm hearing it for the first time.
What was it your mother watched him do with you?
Expose himself to me. Have me touch him, touch himself in front of me.
What was she doing while this was happening?
She was right next to him in the bed, and she'd roll over and sigh. She'd be angry that I was doing it.
Did she ever say anything to you about it?
Yes, one morning before school, she took me aside and grabbed me by my collar and pushed me into the wall and said, "Keep your hands off my man, he's mine." And I said I was going to tell my dad, who was still alive at the time. And she said, "If you tell anybody, that I'll go to jail because I'm dirty. And normal little girls don't do that."
And then you began to develop.
Correct.
Puberty began to develop. And so it rekindled his interest?
Yes. When I started developing breasts, he would grope them when I'd walk by or pinch them.
And you're saying that didn't happen?
None of that happened.
Now, Kim and Jessica worry that there could be more victims. Jessica claims when she was young, she saw naked photos of other young girls in Bob's possession. Well, we'll talk about that and more about Jessica's experiences after the break.
I believe Bob is a huge danger to children.
There are children I've seen hanging around the building where he lives. He is not trustworthy.
I found a photo album that had pictures of naked twin girls in it.
If my father has the opportunity, I believe he would molest another child.
Jessica says her mother not only allowed her to be abused and often watched her stepfather sexually abuse her, but she was also jealous of what they were doing. Now, Bob denies all of this. Bob says, didn't happen, all made up. But Jessica and her stepsister Kim said it did happen, and they have good reason to worry that Bob may have other victims.
After what my father did to Jessica and I feel like there are more victims out there.
I'm pretty certain that Bob has sexually abused other children. When my mom and I first moved into Bob's house, I found a photo album that had pictures of naked twin girls in it. They were no older than 12 years old. When my mom confronted Bob about it, he literally joked about it and said that they liked the attention.
There are children I've seen hanging around the building where he lives, some as young as 3 and 5. They're not supposed to be in the same building that he lives in because my father's a registered sex offender. His last job, he was a janitor in a church with a school built in. There's always kids at a school, and that puts them at risk.
I believe Bob is a huge danger to children.
And he is not trustworthy. If my father has the opportunity, I believe he would molest another child. I have no doubts about that.
You saw a photo album.
Yes.
Twins?
Yeah, they're under 12 from your party days.
Naked?
Yes.
Mom told me about that one, too.
What'd she say?
She said that it probably went with the piano. There used to be a piano, and he had a photo album full of dirty photos, and he was always upset he never got it back. And he thought that it may have been in the piano that I don't know if he sold it or gave it away, but the people he gave it to or sold it to were very religious, and if they had found it, they probably would have just disposed of it.
You got those pictures.
I don't have your pictures.
You told me I had them.
I don't have any pictures.
So there were pictures of naked 12-year-olds?
There was no 12-year-olds in there. The only nasty picture in there was some drunk bending over, moaning the camera. That's the only dirty picture that was in there.
You said one event that sticks in your head was when you were 7 or 8 and Bob had a friend over.
Yes. Bob told him that I wanted to perform a sex act on him.
Uh-huh. And how'd you feel when he told you that?
Embarrassed.
Did that happen?
If it did, I can't remember it so long ago. I'm not, hey.
Well, no, your daughter was 7 or 8. I mean, did you, I kind of remember. Don't you think you'd remember if you told a friend?
I would think so.
Yeah, but you don't remember.
Not any more than she does.
You say that he would grope you and pinch your breast,
yes.
And then how did this eventually come to light? As I understand, the two of you had gotten into an argument, the
yes.
two of you, and so he got upset. What did he do?
He pushed me up into the counter in the kitchen and punched me in the face, and I held him back in my claws or into his arms, and then he threw me outside. It was November in the snow. I didn't have my shoes or jacket, and I demanded my dog before I left, and he threw the dog down the landing at me.
And when your friend came and got you, you told these people what was going on?
I did, and then which led into the past abuse. And one of the friends there, her mom was a guardian ad litem for the court, and she had to report it. And that's why I ended up talking to the Child Protective Services.
Okay, so she's a guardian ad litem, which means she's a mandated reporter.
Correct.
So she did the reporting. So you had to disclose this and talk about it. And that's when your mother put major pressure on you that said, you're going to have to change your story and say it was your biological father, not Bob.
Correct.
Or they're going to come get your sister,
Right.
take her out and put her in foster care.
Right, and I had my best friend I could live with, and then my grandmother, and I knew that Kim had nowhere to go.
So you changed your story to protect her.
I did.
You didn't change all of your story, though.
No, my father passed away when I was 10, so I hadn't developed breast yet. So I said I wasn't going to lie about that piece because it didn't make sense.
When you later found out what happened to her, how did you feel about that?
I think it was all my fault.
You don't blame her for not protecting you.
It wasn't her job. I blame myself for my sister being removed from the family. If I had spoken up about what I was going through, it would have backed her truth.
When Kim came forward about her sexual abuse, I felt responsible. I felt guilty because I had lied in court. If I hadn't lied, Kim wouldn't have been abused. I'm desperate to overcome the feelings of guilt that I carry.
I want very deeply for us both to be able to overcome this guilt so we could have a more normal relationship without baggage holding us back.
How did you cope with this when it was happening, when he was doing these things that you say he was doing to you? How did you deal with it? How did you cope with it?
I just got it over as quickly as possible so I could be done and get to bed.
What did you say to yourself afterwards? You'd go get in bed. What did you say to yourself?
When's Mom gonna help me?
That never happened.
No.
And when you did tell her and she said, oh no, you're going to have to change your story, you're going to lie about this, what did you say to yourself then?
She really does hate me.
What would he say to you when he was doing these things?
You know you like it. It feels good, doesn't it?
Do you remember saying that to her?
I never said that. And yes, I would remember that.
How alone does it feel when a man that's supposed to protect you is in fact victimizing you? Your own mother is telling you, you're not going to be allowed to say this, you're going to have to lie about it, and you feel like she really does hate me. How alone does that feel?
Very isolating. Like there's nobody there to protect me. Living in the world by yourself.
When you changed your story, you thought you were protecting her from being spun off into the foster system.
Right.
When you later found out what happened to her, how did you feel about that?
Like it was all my fault. That had I not lied, she would have been taken.
You feel like if you'd have stood your ground, you might have saved her.
Right.
Have you two talked about that?
Not really.
I know it's not your fault. I know what Mom did. I remember him talking in the car about when they thought I was asleep, about how they just needed to talk you into it. But they told me that it was all your fault, so I thought it seemed okay because I was little. And I thought, well, of course she needs to tell the truth, because I thought that was the truth. I didn't realize, and I knew that they were forcing you. And I didn't know.
You didn't do anything wrong.
You didn't either.
But you don't blame your sister for what's happened.
No, of course not.
You don't blame her for not protecting you.
It wasn't her job. She was young.
You can forgive her for being young, but not yourself?
You're right.
Do you think she should blame herself?
No, absolutely not.
Well, Kim and Jessica say they weren't the only ones subjected to Bob's crude sexual comments. Their friends were too. Did you make inappropriate comments to their friends?
To their friends?
Uh-huh.
No.
Well, we spoke to some of those young girls and boys. They're grown now. They have a lot to share after the break.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil, a 10-year-old mystery.
My sister has had 3 exorcisms.
We all believe that she was possessed.
What if that's not it?
That's tomorrow.
I'm back with sisters Kim and Jessica. Both of them say that they were sexually molested, not once, not twice, but across years by Kim's father and Jessica's stepfather, Bob. Now, Bob admits that he did cross lines, cross barriers with Kim. He started out saying, hey, you know, she initiated a lot of this. She wasn't innocent in this. She wanted it as much as I did. He's kind of backpedaling on that now. I hope genuinely is getting some insight here. He denies any activity with Jessica. I asked him if he made inappropriate comments to some of their friends. He said, did not happen. Well, we reached out to some of those people, and here are some statements from them. I have been friends with Kim since we were 8 years old. When I was about 12, I remember Bob making inappropriate comments about my body. He often commented on the size of my breast in a vulgar way. He would always find a way to be in the same room with us when I was visiting, and we would try to avoid him. He often brushed his body past mine in a way that felt inappropriate. So that's one of those people. Then here's a statement from Jessica's brother's friend. Lived at the house for 18 months. When I was 16, I lived with Jessica's family and witnessed Bob's inappropriate behavior. I would bring my girlfriend over, and Bob would ask her to do sexual things to me in front of him so he could watch. He was a very disturbed guy and would ask lots of people for sexual favors. It was vulgar and disgusting. Bob would always say inappropriate things. He made sexual innuendo and make it seem like a joke. He would sometimes just sit on the couch and shout sexual things. It was very uncomfortable. All right, now here's a statement from Kim's childhood boyfriend. While I was dating Kim, Bob would hover around us at the house and say very inappropriate sexual things. I particularly remember him saying horrible, disrespectful, and patronizing things to Kim's mom. Then he would grab his crotch. When I had a private conversation with Bob, he would ask for sexual details of what Kim and I had done, which I did not give him. I remember at that young age understanding that he was demeaning to women. So there's 4 people that disagree with you.
This ain't the way it all went down. Yes, I did talk filthy. I did. And I loved it. You know why? Because her mother hated it. And I wanted to rub her and get her as irritated as I could to get even with her, because she forced us to live like pigs, and that's all we'd argue about. So it wasn't talking filthy for anybody's sake except their mother's.
Well, that revenge came at a very high price for these innocent young girls. Well, next, is there anything Bob can and will say or do that could help Kim and Jessica find the peace that they're both searching for? Will he ever truly admit and take responsibility for what he's been accused of? Who knows? I'll tell him what I think he needs to do after the break. If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and want to watch a live taping of the Dr. Phil Show, call 323-461-PHIL. That's 323-461-7445, or visit drphil.com. Tickets are free, and I hope to see you soon. Now, Bob, I'm curious. You say that this isn't, it just didn't go down like this. So tell me, I just want to give you the floor, give you the chance to tell us just how did this go down?
Yes, I took responsibility. I pled guilty. I did what I did. I can't change it. Jessica, what you saw and how you saw it just didn't happen. You can believe what you want, you're going to anyway, but I can't prove it, you can't prove it, so where do we go from here?
I think I can prove.
Your definition of the role of the man in the family is so distorted that until you get some contact with reality about that, you're not ever going to be able to have a relationship with them. They just want to hear you acknowledge, I was so lost and so inappropriate, and you paid the price for it. And you keep saying, that's in the past, I can't change it. It's hard to forgive somebody for running over your foot while they're continuing to run over your foot. And you were inappropriate with them then, you're inappropriate with them now, because you're insulting them by continuing to say that nothing inappropriate happened when a blind man can see that it did. I believe that you have a very distorted view, but I will help you sort that out and get those distortions out of your view if you want that help. And you can think about that and tell me if you want me to get you that professional help. I will do that if you would like to have that. But I think your view is distorted, and I think it's offensive to their sensibilities. And until that's worked out, I don't think they're going to feel safe around you or safe with their children around you or anything of the sort until that's worked out. And if you want that, you're going to need to work that out. So you can think about that. Okay, I want to take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to ask Bob to excuse us so I can talk to these two young women here, and we'll be right back. Want to know what's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our email newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, life strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else.
Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today.
I admire both of you greatly. I really do. Both of you have become very fine young women in spite of, not because of, the parenting that you've been through and the life that you've been through, and how you've been able to look ahead and have a North Star and keep yourself moving forward the way you have is just damned impressive. I really impressive. So good job on that. He cannot give you what he doesn't have. Yeah. I mean, people just can't give you what they don't have. I mean, he can't give you empathy because he doesn't have empathy. He can't give you honesty because he doesn't have honesty. He can't give you a clear view of this situation and a rational response because he's not a rational responder. Right. It would be like if you were sitting there waiting for me to give you the keys to your car. We could sit here till tomorrow. I don't have them. Right. I can't give you what I don't have any more than he can. So you can wait forever for that to happen, and it's not going to happen unless some major things happen with him. I do think the two of you have endured serious trauma that causes you to really question the dynamics of how the world is supposed to work and how relationships are supposed to work and how you're supposed to feel about certain things in your own mind. Now, I tell you what I want you to let me do for you. I want the two of you, and I will let you decide if you want to do this together or separately, but I want to start out by sending the two of you to some really trauma-based intensive workshop settings to deal with this at a place called Onsite. And it is a terrific place that's set in the rolling hills of Tennessee. And I've worked with these people for years and years. They're a worldwide leader in intensive workshops for people that have been involved with trauma, and it's left them damaged. And they bring in the top experts in the world to conduct these intensive workshops. And then I would like to follow that up by providing both of you with some very specialized care to help you work through this until you get your feet on the ground in a clear view. And as to relating to him at this point, I would not do that at this point. I would call a moratorium on that. I wouldn't let my children around him at this point. I wouldn't. Never. I mean, I would protect the way you were not protected until you have a clear view of this. And there's some healing that needs to be done, and you deserve to have that healing. And so I would like to make that offer to you just as a gift from us to you, and give you guys the help that you should have had a long time ago and that you very much need now.
Thank you.
Fair enough? Okay. All right? Okay. All right. Well, we have to stop. I want to thank all of my guests today. A special thanks to Miles Adcox and the people at Onsite. They do a great job with people that have been through the kind of trauma here. I'm talking the PTSD and all that. This is very layered, and you all deserve this so much. I want to thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.